Welcome to the Safe Bar Golf Podcast. We're two average golfers talk about golf and things. I'm your host, Eric.
Oh, you didn't cut me off this time.
No, I did not.
Dominic.
This is Dom. We are currently on episode 171. We have a very special guest today. We have Abby with Northern Greens Golf Collective, your guide to all things women's golf in Minnesota. They offer free tee times, clinics, socials, and so much more. If you aren't following them on Instagram, make sure to hit the follow button. Their handle is at Northern Greens Golf MN. Abby, thanks so much for joining us on the podcast.
I hate to interrupt you, but it's not free anymore.
Oh, okay. Not free.
Not free.
We'll cut that out.
No, we won't. I don't know how.
No, we won't. Sorry, we'll get people talking.
Sorry, it's like $1. No, I don't know what it is.
Well,
this is free.
I can go over it.
This is great. That's why we're having the podcast, though, right? So we want to learn more about Northern Greens Golf Collective. But basically, to start off, what inspired you to start it?
Yeah, so I kind of grew up golfing, not so much though. I went to high school across the street from a golf course. My dad would be like, meet me there after school, and I'd like complain. Big regret. So I work in tech full time as a woman in tech. There's golf outings, and just being a woman in tech, I want to make sure I have like some sort of a competitive edge. But outside of that, I own a business with my dad called Great Places Minnesota. We're a social media driven tourism site. So we primarily engage and expose local golf courses in Minnesota and lake resorts to people looking for those types of experiences. So the business didn't start out with those clientele. And when it shifted more to that, especially around the time I kind of got to like a solid point in my career, I was like, I should actually learn how to golf for real. So I took lessons, and this was like right before the pandemic. I had one friend that golfed, and that was like my best friend from high school. And I just was looking for more of a community. So fast forward to 2022, February, I found Three Jack, which was down in the North Loop. The owner was a woman, and she was advertising these swing sessions, and it was like free sim time, and then you could buy your own happy hour food and drink. So I found a community within that. They actually came on as a client with me and my dad's business since it was golf related. And after talking to women in a 2-year time frame and asking them how they found out about it or kind of what their background was, why they got involved in golf, I realized there was a bigger gap for women's golf opportunities. It's really hard to find golf opportunities, and there's just not really many to begin with. So I wanted to provide a website that would showcase all women's golf opportunities. So the courses that offer women's leagues or that have a women instructor, a couple of the golf courses I work with, like Victory Links in Blaine or Inverwood and Inver Grove Heights, they do free women's events during the season. So just wanting to showcase everything that was there. And then everything that we did with the Three Jack Ladies Club, which was kind of those like weekly social hours. And then we did tea times, and we even did 2 group trips back in 2023. So started it about a year ago after I finally came up with the name. That was the biggest hurdle.
I ask you about that because some people are like, I have this idea, but I can't come up with I can't think of a really good name. And like, obviously logo or name really captures, what you're trying to, tell us as far as the story.
So I had, kind of the idea in the fall of 2023, but again, I didn't have the name for it. And, there's so many women's groups and businesses out there. And obviously I still wanted it to somewhat encapsulate golf. But I didn't want it to be like very generic and like screaming women or girls or ladies. No shade to any of the other businesses that have that. That's great. But, as a woman, like women always have to kind of say like, this is the ABC Women's Club or Ladies Club, where like men just get to have the ABC Club, and it is what it is. So Northern Greens, when I figured out that kind of part of it, it's inspired by Superior National at Lutsen, which is my favorite golf course, probably ever or anywhere. But that's like kind of my happy place, being like a true proud Minnesotan. So Northern Greens, like the northern part is like the North Shore, but also just like northern for like Minnesota. And then Greens is that. I went with Golf Collective instead of like Golf Club because I just wanted to emphasize like the community that I had found through golf in the last couple of years when before coming up with it. So that is how we got to the name.
That's really cool. Did you have an issue trying to find the Instagram handle or getting the Instagram handle?
No, not at all. I shortened it to like Northern Greens Golf MN because, I do kind of regret having this really long name, especially when it comes to like an email. It's definitely a mouthful and it's a lot to type and like print out, but I still love her. She's so cute and adorable. So,
Yeah, the name's great.
um,
I like it a lot. And the
so
logo.
I figured out the name in March of last year. I was kind of toying around with like the logo and what I thought again. So the logo is also inspired by Superior National. So if you've ever golfed there, a lot of the holes overlook Lake Superior and there's just trees everywhere. My favorite time to go up is in the fall, and I do like a fall women's trip, like a little hiking golf trip, which is super fun. So that's kind of where the logo was inspired by. Again, it's a little like more complicated, but it means a lot to me. So that's why it is what it is.
So how has the women's golf community in Minnesota changed since you've started this company?
It's really grown. I didn't know what to expect a year ago. Like I knew what I kind of had built, with the ladies club before, and saw that people were like, okay, wow, there's actually an opportunity that's not intimidating. Obviously, golf got really popular around the pandemic, but it was still like pretty sanctioned, and there's a lot of people like golfing with their boyfriends or husbands or families. So I think having this available, I get a lot of like excitement because it's just giving people a platform to go without like fear or judgment. Like golf is already intimidating as it is. I still deal with a ton of adversity, depending on the case or where I'm at, or people are just always surprised that like this is like a women's golf club when we're like kind of out in these big outings. So I think it's just showing people that like there's a place for you on the course and there's a community there to support you.
I did miss one question. So how does one join the club? Or so you have
The
a website,
collective.
the collective, yeah. You have the website. So is it like you subscribe or how does this work?
Yeah. So last year, I pretty much would like host a tea time. You'd sign up on my website, and then you would pay your greens fee at the golf course. So last year, I did about 19 tea times between May and October. I was doing some with Three Jack already, but there wasn't as many, and like people are interested. So I ended up doing a lot more. And it was kind of like honor code. I never really had an issue, thankfully, with someone like no showing or canceling since I wasn't like binding them with money. I did change it this year. So, you register for the event, you send a payment, and then, I confirm your registration. I send a reminder out. And I really just ask for like golf etiquette. Like you're gonna show up, like someone showing up like late, really drives me insane. Or like not keeping pace of play. So there's just like standard golf etiquette because regardless of where we're golfing, they're either a client of mine through my dad's business or they're not, but they know who we are. So, I always have to kind of keep that top of mind, especially when I'm bringing like new golfers in. So if there's, the thing I'd say that people like about my club is that you can come whenever your schedule allows. I mean, the metro area is huge. I'm in the West Metro and I'm starting to do more events kind of all around like the 494, 694 ring, just so I can reach people. Cause someone in Minnetonka probably is going to drive to Inverwood, and someone maybe out in Stillwater might not drive to northeast Minneapolis. So, um, people like that they can kind of pick and choose what they want to come to. And if you sign up, it's just expected that you come. Um, last year, like I said, I didn't charge ahead of time, but the need has grown. And as everybody knows, time is money. I'm really passionate about it. So I started a membership this year, which is called the Clubhouse Crew. It's $75 for this outdoor season. It's only good for outdoor tea times. I've seen a couple of these other women's groups throughout the country that I've connected with having this membership model and kind of what the perks are. So I didn't want to make it like you have to be a member to join. But what I did was look at my tea times last year. So I looked at how many people came to my events. What was the average number that somebody came? So for 19 tea times last year, the most that people attended were 9 out of those 19. And that was like 5 girls. And then it kind of just like trickled down. So I'm like, what's the average? So I actually have my little, it's blurry, so you can't really see,
Kind
but
of see it, yeah.
I created the Clubhouse Crew. So you get a hat that says Northern Greens on it with the logo. I made these like super cute little bag tags with like a member number. I'm very artsy craftsy. A sleeve of balls, some golf tees that I've gotten made too. And then essentially, if you're a member, you don't pay, you pay the greens fee price. You don't pay the standard event price. So if you're not a member, there is a slight upcharge, and that's really covering like the technology fee for me to have the website, for me to be able to offer an easy booking platform for people to sign up. So it's not free anymore. It used to be free, but if anything, I was influenced by my friends and the golf girls of like knowing my worth, knowing my value, and starting to charge a little bit for my time and my organizing.
Absolutely.
But
Oh, sounds really cool. I love the idea. When you first started, when you were, so for example, let's say you had an event coming up this this Thursday, right? And did you block like 3 to 4 different tea times and then people would sign up that way? So you would just reach out to the clubhouse or book it online. Is that what you did originally? Or is that how you're still doing it?
So I have partnerships, like I have a partnership with Minneapolis Golf now. I have a partnership with Three Rivers Park District, which are a lot of the courses that we play. So I have that relationship through Great Places,
Gotcha.
the business with my dad. So, last year I'd kind of do like every month, I'm going to set up the tea times for the next month. And I'd call because a lot of the times, like some booking platforms only let you book like 1 or 2.
Yep.
So I'm booking 3 to 4 tea times kind of back to back. We do a lot of par 3 or executive 9s on weeknights, and then I'm going to do either more 9s or an 18 on the weekend. But if it's an 18-hole course like Columbia, for example, that's where like the first official event is. I have a couple tea times off the front and a couple tea times off the back at the same time. I just am anticipating a lot more people to come. I have about 40 members of the Clubhouse Crew right now. Last year, I had about 80 or 90 people come to the tea times throughout the season. So the Clubhouse Crew gets kind of first dibs. But I actually, I just, like I was saying before, I just started, I work full time in tech. I just started a new job last week. So I actually have everything scheduled through the end of September right now. I just posted my May events. I have a couple tea times. I have a driving range meetup. I have a kickoff weekend golf trip in about a month here. So having kind of everything on the schedule. And then another thing I'm doing a little bit different this year is only opening registration every other Sunday. So that way people know what to expect. I'm not like opening a tea time at like 1:00 on a Tuesday, which is what I did a lot of the time last year when I had time in my day. So just to make it more fair, because it is, those tea times like honestly fill up the same day. I post something and they're full. So I wanted to just be consistent so people knew what to expect. A Sunday at 7, most people are probably at home, trying to survive the Sunday scaries. So Clubhouse Crew gets first dibs. And that way, like if it fills up by the time 7:00 comes, I can probably still call the course and add more tea times on. So this coming Sunday, I'm going to open up my tea times for the first 2 weeks of May, which I have a couple of events. And that way that still gives me enough time to communicate with the course. Like, let's say for some reason I don't sell out all 4 tea times, I can scale back, or if I need to add on, there's still probably plenty of time just because most courses you only can book like a week out.
Are you attending these events, or are you more or less? So are you at most of the events that you host?
Yep. So I try my best to be. Last year, I think I was at 17 out of 19. The reason I wasn't at 2 is I think I was out of town, and I actually had a gal that was more in the north side of the city ask, if she could help out. So she offered to kind of host them. But yeah, typically I go out last. I'm at the last tea time just so I can greet everybody because there's probably always at least one new person, circling in. So want to make sure everybody's greeted, everybody shows up on time. Now this year, since I'm taking payment ahead of time, I don't have to really worry about like people showing up or, there being like open tea times. Luckily, like I said, I've never had to deal with that, but don't want to start. So,
Right.
but yeah, I will be. My hope is I will be traveling a little bit for work, but I have such a great crew of gals that I know could step in and facilitate.
Awesome. Sorry, it looked like you were going to ask a question before I asked that previous question. Did you have a question for her?
No, I thought you were asking if I was like gonna host. I was like, no, women are scary.
No, I looked like you were going to ask a question before, but that was one of my questions I was going to ask. If you just run kind of the show yourself, or if you have a team that kind of helps you out.
No, I mean, you had asked that question, and I was like, I'd be kind of shitty if she didn't show up to any.
Well,
But then I'm like, there's no way she doesn't show up to any.
Yeah, I mean, that's, I think one thing that people appreciate is that they know who I am. I think there's like for the ladies, for example, Abby's out of Pinehurst. She has hosted events here in the past, and I would kind of be her volunteer. And oddly enough, both our names are Abby. There's some people that thought I was Abby from For the Ladies. But I think, some of the feedback, like, Lucy, who owned Three Jack, she was a mom of four. She wasn't always able to come. And that's kind of why I helped out. But like people thought then that like I owned Three Jack, or this was like Three Jack was like my club. So I think people appreciate that I am like very engaging people. I think in any time, and like I'm not trying to be an influencer, honestly. I'm kind of trying to avoid that. But I think people like someone to relate to, or like having a face behind like the story, that makes things more personable. So people appreciate that like I'm just like them. And people always assume like I'm some like amazing golfer. That's like a comment like, are you really good? And I'm just like, no, I have like a 17 handicap. Like, not that that's like awful, but like people assume I'm like really good at golf. And I'm like, especially when I'm golfing with the girls, like I don't play my best with the golf club. I play good like when I'm with strangers or like my dad, or by myself, and I'm not distracted by like transfusions and hot dogs. So
So you mentioned like the golf etiquette and all that. So like my wife is kind of new to the golf space, and we've done like the Top Golf, we've done the Three Jack, and I think the indoor golf space
through the range.
Yeah, taking to the range, but she really liked that. And I think, the range, and then like indoor, it's a little bit different because one, you have your own bay essentially, right?
Yep.
So I'd imagine there's probably a little bit more flexibility, or a little less more intimidation for newcomers that are playing golf like an indoor. Have you noticed a big difference between the indoor golf versus the outdoor golf as far as people joining or coming to certain events?
Yeah, I mean, even, back with the Three Jack days, I mean, we started it, and, this last winter, I work with 5 different indoor golf centers throughout the metro here, and I would host pretty much almost a weekly, like I call them clubhouse socials. And I just run a couple bays, and I think that's a good opportunity for people to come and learn and just see, like, do I like swinging a club? But, there's definitely times where like, there were people that golfed with me last summer through Northern Greens that I didn't see once this winter. And I noticed it even, back in the day, like there were people that would come all winter to the indoor thing. And maybe they were just coming from the social aspect and then still maybe too intimidated to get out and golf. And then I would never see them all summer. Or again, like girls that would come to the Three Jack tea times and then we wouldn't see them the following winter at all. As far as like the etiquette goes, I mean, it's totally two different things. A lot of seasoned golfers like refuse to golf on a golf sim. They just hate it. Like my dad, he's like, I don't care to go to a sim like ever. So there's that. I will say when I started going, I noticed a big improvement in my game once it came time to go outside. I just felt like I did a lot better that season. I was like warmed up because I just was, swinging the club once a week for, the 4 months leading up to the outdoor season.
Sure.
Etiquette wise, I do kind of put in like my registration, like what I expect. And then the email before, a couple days, I send it like 2 days before the event. I do just kind of reiterate like why it's important to show up, keeping pace of play, and like I'll share things about etiquette here and there on the page. And I like to provide resources for people to learn and understand those things too.
That makes sense. And that was going to lead up to my next question, because I think some people don't care. You know what I mean? Where there are people that are like, screw etiquette, but then there's also a lot of newcomers that are like, I don't even know that's a thing. Like the whole, like showing up on time. Like, why is it 7:38? Like a random time, right? And it's like, I'll just get there. I'll round up. I'll be there at 7:40 or 7:45, right? It's like, because they just didn't know. So that was going to be my question. I think that's really important for people that are getting into the game, because like you're not getting off to a great start if you show up 7 minutes late.
I'm not showing up at a 7 a.m. time, and you know that
7:45 p.m.
Well,
Don't be Twilight.
That's different. But I'm not showing up at a 7 a.m. tea time.
No, that is true.
That's the etiquette. I'm not showing up. I'm saying that now.
Yeah, I
was not an early morning golfer.
No, I will stab people.
Jeez. I know I do love a sunrise round. I will say that. But the etiquette thing, COVID definitely brought out a ton of new golfers, right? And there was not formalities with like, there were lessons back in 2020, but it just got so many people out, and a lot of people complain about that. Like the Golfing Minnesota Facebook group page is like just a bunch of grown men complaining about other people, which is pretty entertaining.
That's
but
kind of
yeah,
what golf is in general, though, is a bunch of old dudes complaining.
That's why you're trying to change. You're trying to change everything, right?
So now you're going to get young women complaining about the old dudes complaining. I like that better.
Back last summer at Breezy Point, so I host weekend golf trips, and I partner with resorts or courses. So that's why I do Superior National at Lutzen's a client at Breezy Point Resort in the Brainerd Lakes area. So we were at, there's 16 of us last summer. We're at the brand new cabin on Deacon's Lodge, and we're like the only cabin there's like 13 cabins at Deacon's Lodge. We're like the only cabin of girls. And Breezy Point is like definitely like a bachelorette destination or girls weekend, because like you don't necessarily have to golf. There's so many amenities in that area. There's tons of lodging options. So we had just finished our round at Deacon's on our second night there. And the cabins kind of overlooked the practice area. So some of the girls were out there just swinging the club. It was, the sun was going down. It was a gorgeous night. And there was a cabin of guys probably around our age and like their dads next door to us, and they were like playing bags and sitting outside, and one of the dads walks over and is like, oh, what's going on here? And I'm like, we're on a girls golf trip, and he's like, oh, and he's like kind of watching some of the girls hit the club, and he's like, I've never seen a girl hit a club that well. This is just so surprising. I'm like, did you know that LPGA exists? Like, I was coming for him. Like I was really coming from him, and like it's kind of like some of those like microaggressions, maybe. Like he wasn't trying to be an asshole, but it's just like, I was just like, well, the fact that you're just so surprised. He's like, no, it's just good to see. I just don't know any women that can hit a club that well, like these ladies. And I'm like, you don't need to like share that. I was like, that was like an inside thought you could have kept to yourself. And eventually, like one of his kid or one of the other younger guys was like, all right, like leave them alone. But like, even through the whole weekend, when we were out at like Zorba's or like at Dockside, people were like, who's the bride? And then everybody would be like, she is, pointing to me. But like people just really couldn't believe that this big group of women were here for a golf trip. Like people were too stunned to speak.
It's terrible that that's the thought that he had, but it is really cool that you're doing that and changing hopefully his mind on certain things, especially like with the golf. We've had the conversations multiple times. Like the golf is definitely changing in a good way here in the future,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's the apparel. I mean, people are kind of just being able to kind of wear what they want to wear.
Yeah, my shirt has a freaking teddy bear playing golf on it because it's Malbon. It's
Right.
fine.
And I like that. And I think too, like, so my wife has been really like, yeah, I want to learn how to play golf. I want to get into it. So like Don mentioned, we've been to the driving range and done certain things, but it's going through that, like the going back to like being able to play inside. I feel like for her is a little bit more comfortable for her because we're like more secluded. We're now like you get to a first tee, and I can imagine first tee for anybody that's golfing. I mean, Abby, like for yourself, like you do these events. I'm sure the first tee is still obviously probably
Probably the best tee to watch.
well, I'm just saying like it's a nerve wracking thing because you probably already have people judging you right off the bat, right? And then it's like, okay, now. So I think there's still that stigma of people judging you
Yeah.
about that. And I think that really can throw people off. So it's like if we can break past that barrier, so I feel like that's the biggest thing for newcomers in the beginning, that first hole.
Yeah, even like one of my friends, who I met through like more like not golf related networking, she was new to the area, like looking for friends, looking for community. She got into golf, just last year, and her and I were having happy hour back in December. And, she went to Breezy because she's like, wow, that sounds fun. And she's not from here. So it's like perfect opportunity to bring a transplant to like, experience the cabin, like resort life up north. But even just getting some feedback from her, and you don't know until like the day before who you're paired with. I don't advertise my tea times as like beginners only or like advanced. But she said, like it would be nice to know that like I'm not going to be put with a bunch of people that are really good. So for me, I'm like, okay, how can I advertise that like this is a beginner friendly? And like, the part like we played Brookview on Saturday morning. I had two tea times. I love that course because it's beginner friendly. It takes about 75 minutes to play, and then I can work on my short game. But for any beginner, like being paired with potentially three people you've never met, you have no idea what their golf level is, that is already scary. And like, my girlfriend even said a few times, like, I still even felt intimidated. I'm like, even though like you knew I was going to be there and like you kind of always knew someone. So I think one thing I want to implement this year, because obviously I can't put like four beginners in the first tee time. Like that doesn't make any sense. That's not helpful. So I think I'll just put like the last tee time, whoever's with me, as like choose this tea time if you like are less than 1 year or you really consider yourself a beginner golfer. That way like I can kind of guide them. We're on the last tea time for our group, so they're not like holding up the other girls. So but yeah, I've even gotten feedback from people who have come and just like, oh, there's some really good golfers. And it's almost always the question I get of like, who, are these people good? Like I have like a D1 golfer that comes and golfs with us. My friend Anne, she's like, I think like she's 7 or 11 handicap. All I know, she's good. Anytime any new person plays with her, they're like, oh my God, she's so good. But she is the nicest, like not intimidating person ever to golf with. Cause I even thought the same thing when I met Anne through the ladies club. So it's good to just see like the people that come in really intimidated, but always walking away like wanting to come back or like having a positive experience. I don't have space for like bullying or like snarkiness or any of that stuff. Thankfully, I have not like received poor feedback. I don't know if somebody would actually say that to me because obviously I'm only in one tea time. I can't see what's going on elsewhere, but I've never, if anything, it's just been an overwhelming, like, I'm so glad I found this group. It was so fun. I can't wait to come back again.
That's awesome. Do you get a lot of people that sign up that are like they don't know each other and then they end up like becoming like let's hang out after,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
now we can go
So
golf together or whatever,
yeah. So, I'm 33, I'm single. I don't have like a dog or like dependents. but like I went in alone, and I would say like 90% of the people, I can probably count on one hand like how many like twosomes, like a girl that brought a friend or something, have come. Like it's a small number. I'm from this area. I have so many different friends from so many different walks of life, like my childhood friends, friends from my early 20s, from like my jobs throughout the years. But it's a really, I always say the best way to make new friends is through a shared interest. So, it's one of the golf girls' birthdays this weekend, and like 20 of us are going to go play bingo at 1029 and like do a bar crawl because like we've all just formed a friendship. And now we've actually started a pickleball club too, because why would we not? Something else to do in the winter. So, yeah, it's a lot of people coming alone, which is super intimidating. That's also like a question I get a ton. But it's a lot of people who are like, I don't know, none of my girlfriends golf, and like I'm sick of golfing with my boyfriend, or like my boyfriend wants me to learn how to golf and he wants to go play with his friends. A lot of working professionals kind of like me. And people just seeing the opportunity, I think, that are out there has drawn people in.
I think your wife could get kicked out.
Yeah.
No, she's too snarky.
No,
she would say something.
No, my wife would not. My wife would be quiet as can be. She's really quiet. She doesn't know anybody.
Well, tell her to come to the driving range event.
Clearly.
I do know your wife. She's yelled at me a couple times.
Well, she knows you.
In Spanish. Scared the shit out of me.
Okay, so you have a couple upcoming events in May. Mm-hmm. Columbia Golf Club Social 9. So you play usually is like the front 9, back 9, and then when you say social, what is that like? You guys get together afterwards, or what is that necessarily?
You guys drinking all round too? Like that'd be pretty cool. Social round.
It's not required because I respect people's personal choices. I actually didn't drink for like half of a year back in, I think it was 2023, going into the golf season. I had taken some time off drinking just for some health reasons. And I was like, how am I supposed to golf without a summer shandy? I made it through. I'm still alive. I've persevered. Yeah, so, the social aspect is of the fact that you are probably being paired with people you don't know, and it's giving you time to connect and meet new people and network. But then, yes, we typically go and have happy hour afterwards.
And then, so you have a driving range meetup. Again, same thing. You just kind of just all rent out a little area at the driving range and just kind of hang out and hit golf balls type of deal. Is there like a strict like timeline of what you guys are doing, or is it more just practicing?
And just to kind of copy off Derek, do you have like an instructor for the driving range meetup where it's like, hey, like you could, like you're kind of bringing in your hands a little too much?
Yeah, so I will be hosting clinics. I hosted a couple last year at Victory Links up in Blaine. I'll be working with, it's an incredible, it's a great course and great practice facility. So shout out to them. But yeah, so this one there, I did talk with the assistant pro. They actually had reached out to me and was like, hey, we'd love if your group would want to come. So I have the driving range meetup. I have a clinic with them, like a short game clinic later on in June. But the first one is just like, let's just get warmed up for the season. I don't, a lot of people like maybe don't want someone like watching what they're doing, but there will be a lot more clinics. I just did a few last year, and I'll have clinics pretty much throughout the summer. This winter, I worked with Jennifer Huber. She is going into her second year at Hazeltine. She was at Braemar for like the last 4 years beforehand. So I did some private clinics, like swing analysis clinics with her at like an indoor. I'm a member of like a co-working spot here in Edina that has desks, and then golf sim kind of social area on the other. So did some indoor stuff with her. I'll have some clinics with Katie Backen. She is part of like the Tennis Golf Association, TGA. I think that's what it stands for, but they operate out of Brookview. The old gal that was there has moved on. So Katie's new teaching. I think she's not from Minnesota. I think she moved here, but there's definitely a lot of different programming happening of all different sorts of clinics.
What is the spring swing at Little Crow Resort? Because I'm not familiar with Little Crow Resort.
Little Crow Resort is a 27 hole like hotel style golf resort in Spicer. It's about 90 minutes straight west of the Twin Cities. Kind of it's either like north or south of Wilmer.
Okay. Yeah.
But
Okay.
it's a client of mine, so it's just kind of like a kickoff to the golf season. It's just one night. So plan to leave in the morning. We're gonna play a round of 18 on Saturday afternoon. Um there's double or single occupancy, and then we're going to play 9 in the morning, go out to dinner. It's actually one of like the OG golf girls' birthdays that week. So it's kind of like, let's go, like, let's make a little group trip out of it. So super excited for that. I've never played there, but they've been a client of Great Places, Minnesota for many years.
Okay. That's interesting. What is the Dink and Drinks Pickle Fest?
Yes.
I'm thinking
Double income, no kids.
obviously pickleball is what I'm thinking.
I was thinking
that's
of-
a term. That's a term in pickleball,
I was
but
thinking of
Yes,
the TikTok
so-
term.
Well, no, double income, no kids. Like I kind of laughed. So I never played pickleball. I kind of grew up playing tennis. And last fall, when the golf season was winding down, I created a group chat for pickleball because on my Instagram page, I have just a group chat. And that's where people are like, who wants to golf this weekend? Like, if you can't make it to my event, but hey, who's up for that? So it's just a place for people to be like, what push card do you like? Or who wants to golf this weekend, or where do the curvy girls get good fitting golf stuff, or what's your favorite brand of shoe, blah, 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 blah. But I created a group chat for pickleball because people were like, I want to play pickleball. And then I did one for skiing and snowboarding. So this kind of ties back to the collective piece of like the community that we're building, the shared interests that we have outside of golf, and like the friendships that have been formed. So a couple of us went skiing this winter, which was fun. However, I didn't play pickleball. I think one time somebody was like, does anybody want to go to this lesson? I'm like, well, I still don't know how to play. I finally learned in January, and now we pretty much play pickleball every like Tuesday or Wednesday. I think we're going to Lucky Shots tomorrow after work. And again, like we decided to call it Dink and Drink because we go dink and then we go drink after. So we decided to host a pickle fest, which is like a pickle theme potluck. So they're resurfacing the tennis court at my condo into a pickleball court this year. I have the pickleball court. I have a pool. I have a picnic area with a grill. So we are going to have ourselves a day of pickleball, pool, and pickle themed flavored items. And it's going to be
That's really
amazing.
cool. I like that.
I just love pickles. Do you like pickles?
I do.
I had a pickle
I think
today
I've
with
ever seen you
lunch.
eat a pickle.
I do. Yeah. I'm not one to like put them like on like a burger or a chicken sandwich. I like to eat them like separately just because I don't like the soggy the bun.
Okay, that's fucking weird.
Okay, well, like,
yeah.
you're not
That's like a
pouring
southern
pickle juice
thing,
on
though,
your
too.
burger.
No.
Like a spicy chicken sandwich on.
But you put the pickle on the sandwich.
No, I don't like to do that. No, because if you go to a restaurant, aka Runyon's over here, the greatest place, they don't put their pickles on the sandwich. They let you put them on. They put them on the side for that reason, so they don't get.
Shout out Runyons.
I love Runyon's.
They don't even follow us.
Runyon's
You know who does
is-
follow us? Kramarczak's,
Nice.
the greatest place.
Well, I
Perfect
saw
pickle.
someone put the pickle on the burger, and then they put the cheese over it. But then the pickle was like kind
That's
of
some
warm.
SpongeBob shit.
That would probably make sense. Though.
No, that happened in SpongeBob because he
Oh,
tucked
did
the
it?
pickles in. Yeah.
See,
Maybe I loved
could.
SpongeBob. I was a SpongeBob
I
kid.
never-
so
I just learned that some people weren't allowed to watch SpongeBob as a kid.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't have
couldn't,
rules.
or-
No, because like their parents were like, no, it's
Really actually inappropriate. Like watching it as an adult, I'm like, oh my God, I obviously had no idea what that meant. But yeah, it's a thing.
I still don't know what some things mean.
But
I mean,
going
also
back to your
same.
point though, I think the pickle thing is like under the bun, or not under the bun, under like the chicken, like on the bottom of the bun is like a southern thing, just like
Yes, that is yes.
If
and
someone,
it's soggy.
pickle on the bottom.
I can't do it
if
because
someone tucks in my pickle with the cheese, I'm throwing hands. Some's hat like that. No,
that actually.
I'm sorry.
Do you want to go get a burger
No.
this weekend? I'm gonna talk to the chef. I said, do you want to go get a burger this weekend?
Yeah,
I'll talk to the chef.
Get a Juicy Lucy and put those pickles in the Juicy Lucy.
I am not above that.
Yeah.
I love
I'm gonna do it.
We got a couple more questions. We'll do some rapid fire questions.
I just want pickles now.
What's been your most memorable event so far? Or if you have multiple, like what are maybe a couple of things that stick out?
I mean, the weekend golf trips are like super fun. Like, Breezy Point was like the first trip that I did on my own last summer. And it was 16 of the girls who I'd kind of like known for a little while through the Three Jack Club. And like, there's a lot of transplants, like I kind of said, that comes like just like putting together, like I'm very type A. I girl boss too close to the sun. I always say I suffer from no chill. Like I get artsy craftsy. Like I made golf towels. I made like these cute little bags with everybody's name on them. I got like a ton of donations from like women's golf brands, like Brooke from Smoke Show. Like she's donated to my stuff, my events a few times. Like
Not
the
to interrupt, but
support from the
I'm texting Brooke
community.
right now. Funny enough.
Tell her I say hi. She's the best.
I'll
Shout out
reply.
to Smoke Show Golf. But just seeing people like, I like to plan and like whatnot, but some people just like to show up and like,
Yeah.
it's just nice for people to come and like appreciate what I'm doing and just like, the weather happened to just be like honestly perfect. We rented a pontoon. I took people down to Zorba's on Gull Lake because, you have to do that. So I mean, like the Breezy Point was like my first trip that I did, and it was just such a fun weekend. It was in the middle of summer. And then the trip to Lutsen in the fall, is the first weekend of October. It's just gorgeous up there that time of year. And it's like my happy place. So, those golf trips, are probably like my favorite. I'm looking forward to them again this year and adding a couple new spots. Um, the Nine and Wines are fun events. So I did two in the fall where we golfed nine and then we went to a winery. So I did one out in the East Metro and then one out in the West Metro. The West Metro one was kind of like my last event of the season. It was at the end of October. And again, beautiful day out at Shram Vineyards. We played the Loop at Chaska, which is like an incredible course with an incredible cause as far as like accessibility when it comes to golf. So, you know, it's hard, there's really just nothing better than like a twilight round though. Like the sun's going down, we're just finishing. It's a nice night, the weather's just right. And, then we get to go and giggle over some cocktails afterwards.
What are your goals for Northern Greens in the next year or two?
Great question. I'm still not sure. So, I just celebrated the 1 year anniversary and it's been more than I ever could have imagined it would turn into. I've gotten like media attention and I've had brands reach out to me that like want me to like help promote their stuff or, like I said, the support from the women's golf community, people just like me that run a side business. It's been insane. I just want to continue to like grow my reach. I want people to see the stuff that I'm posting and finally take the leap and come and join. And, it's fun when someone's texted me and been like, I got a hole in one, or I golfed in my work event and I didn't feel embarrassed. Like just those little things and those little moments where like they're not even happening when I'm there, but it's because like they took the chance to come and golf. I don't know, what really my goals are. I kind of think about things, but like bigger partnerships, I've been working with the MGA and like the Minnesota PGA. There's some big golf brands out of Minnesota that are doing some incredible things that I've been chatting with. So just continuing to get the support from the community. It's really helped me in my dad's business. People want to bring Northern, want me to come out to the golf course. So it's also grown like my dad's business. It's brought, and it's gone both ways. The business with my dad has brought me exposure and vice versa. So just being kind of the person that hears your, really, like I said on my website, like your guide to all things women's golf. So hopefully encouraging more golf opportunities to occur in some of these other courses to put more of an emphasis on those programs.
What advice would you give to a woman who's curious about golf but feels intimidated to start? And I'm sure you probably get that question and you probably have it laid out in your email.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I use like, I think about, growing up playing Mario, right? Like how many times did you play that freaking level until you finally beat it. And then guess what? The next level was even harder. It's not
God, you guys are
easy.
old.
That's a great. I like this. This is great.
You
Mario's
guys are
fantastic.
so
Like,
old.
You're not that far
well,
behind.
sorry, we're in our 30s.
Yeah,
It must be nice to still be in your 20s.
Yeah, I wish I was in my 20s.
No, you don't.
No.
You don't want to. No.
But I know I like this.
You-
Keep going. The
you
Mario.
Like, you
this
like
is
being married.
I'm honestly I did not see the Mario reference coming on. I did say left field. So
Yeah, I mean, I
great.
grew up with two older brothers. So like while I grew up with like a mother as a hairdresser and like I grew up in front of a mirror my whole life, looking at myself, which I don't really know what that's done for like my like self-image, but I grew up with two older brothers. Like I wanted the Game Boy, I wanted to play all the games. But like I heard this quote years ago, and it's like if life just got harder, you probably just leveled up. And it's easier to not do things like, you know, that like the quote of like it takes more muscles to frown than smile or something like that. Like I just kind of think of like those things, and there's plenty of people that are already doing it. So, you know, at the end of the day, also nobody cares about you. Like at the end of the day, nobody really cares. Like someone may like I've had some insane things said to me by men in the golf industry at courses or by like indoor golf centers as far as like not supporting women's golf or like feeling like it's a good fit. But like, you know what? Like, you know, they don't, well, opinions don't pay my bills, first of all, and
There you go. I like that.
anybody else's. So, I mean, just like go and do it. Like, the one advice I will say, if someone's completely new to golf and they want to take lessons, the first thing I ask them is, okay, golf lessons are typically 1 or 2 days a week. Standard. I said, do you have an additional 2 days a week to practice golf? Because if you don't, and you're the only time you're practicing is when you're at that lesson, you're going to be frustrated and you're going to give up, because like golf is something where like you are a forever student. And I kind of always like use that like with yoga, like super into yoga and be like, oh, I'm not flexible. And it's like, well, you don't need to be flexible to do yoga, but it's a practice. So, you know, I just say like, if you need to make sure you can go to the driving range at least one other time per week, it's an investment of your time, your mental health. Cause it is like, every time I get frustrated, I'm like, I'm not good enough to be upset. Like I'm not in like, you know, playing in a tournament. So, it's helped me find a lot of patience, but I would just say like be ready to invest that time, that first like 2-3 months, and start early. Like, you know, lessons typically start in May. They do fill up pretty quick, but like take the time on the front end because it'll be more rewarding quicker than you think versus like not doing the work. It takes work. It takes patience. There's very few people that can just pick up a golf club and swing it and have it be great.
Really good. Yeah. No, that's great. Great piece of advice. I like that. Well said. Saw your video post of the Masters. That was really cool.
Yeah, she's mad you didn't show up to her little party.
I'm so sorry.
Dom, don't make me expose you right now because I really will. Because you told me
She
two
yelled
different
at me on a
lies.
text
So
message. I was scared.
You
I
should have
thought
been
my phone was
scared.
gonna blow up.
Yeah.
What?
So
She also yelled at me because I didn't understand her Mean Girls reference.
Oh,
well, how dare you? But
I even wore pink
anyways.
today. You can't see it, but there's a pink hoodie
Well,
right
it's
there.
not
There really is.
Wednesday.
There really
Today's
is.
Tuesday. Today's Tuesday. On Wednesdays we were pink. So
You know what?
another F up, honestly.
You know what?
that's fantastic.
Fucking hanging out.
So the Masters party, I threw a
Yes.
Masters party at Clubhouse Edina, the co-working space I'm a part of. And you know, I ended up inviting guys. I had a couple girlfriends like, you know, can I bring a friend, or like, are there a lot of single ladies a part of your golf club? And I was like, well, yeah. But I have had a lot of support, you know, like all the guys that co-work at Clubhouse are like, I'm like the only girl, but they have been like super supportive. And you know, I work with a lot of the people that own the indoor golf centers are guys, and they're super supportive. So I'll probably do the Masters themed anniversary party every year. It was super fun to like have some fun little things to incorporate in with the party. So that was super fun. I like to do like I do like a Galentine's party. I do like Friendsgiving. I do like an ugly sweater party. You know, there will be like a glizzy fest because I do love a dog at the turn. Last July over Breezy Point, I got hot dogs painted on my nails. Well, the hot dog was like only my middle finger, but it was iconic.
Hell yeah.
And I'm going to do it every summer. Actually, I wonder if we can see it without the blur. But I just got this
Oh yeah.
hot dog.
Oh, it kind of blurred out, but we
You know,
can
it's
see it.
funny when
Yep.
you hold it
Oh,
back.
here.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, hold it back. It says
That's
golf,
awesome.
and there's just like a hot dog. One of the girls sent this to me, I think on like Saturday, and said, I saw this and thought of you. And I was like, add to cart. So,
That's awesome.
So are you like Derek and eat the hot dogs with like no toppings?
like I have done that.
That's weird.
But I
He's
prefer
just really going all out on you,
some toppings.
Well, I think it's wild that you eat them with like no mustard, no
I
ketchup.
hate mustard and ketchup. I don't like either. Yeah.
Like at all, like on anything?
No, I don't like mustard or ketchup at all.
So dry.
I only like I like buffalo sauce.
You put buffalo sauce on your hot dog.
I like.
Have you tried that?
No, actually, I haven't.
That sounds weird.
I dare
But honestly,
you.
like I don't know. I grew up kind of a picky eater. I've definitely expanded my food palette, but that's one thing that like a plain hot dog or a bratwurst is
That's still the weirdest thing for me.
No, I will eat it plain, but I'm definitely like ketchup, mustard, some fried onions, yes, some like relish, yes. One of each. I'm like, oh, I like everything, honestly.
Well, it's been a great time, and hopefully you've enjoyed this podcast. I didn't come up with a whole lot of rapid fire questions, but I think you answered like 3 or 4 already. But we'll just kind of go through them quickly. Was there anything that we missed that you wanted to add at all?
I mean, the only thing I will just say is I give away a lot of free golf through Northern Greens, but it's just for the girls when I do it on Northern Greens. But great places, Minnesota, and great golf. We work with 60 golf courses. We do giveaways. We're actually doing a ton right now. It's like our golf show on Facebook. I'll start posting some on Instagram probably this next week. But I give away hundreds of rounds of free golf, and all you have to do is like, share, comment on the post, and we just randomly pick winners, and we do it really all year long. So if you want to win free golf,
What are we doing? We need to get
I'm excited. I'm just waiting for the day to play golf outside. I mean, we've been really close. I mean, we've had a couple of
I've gone
days,
out 3 times.
Have you? Yeah. So we've had a couple of nice days, but the consistency just hasn't been there.
I think I've looked at my golf clubs 3 times.
I think mine are in my car.
3 times, but okay, I'm gonna go with this first one. I think we already know your answer because you already mentioned, but we're gonna go with number 2. Favorite golf course to play in Minnesota besides Superior National?
Deacon's Lodge.
Deacon's Lodge. Okay, I haven't played that one.
I haven't either.
No.
Oh, gorgeous.
I've heard of it, but yeah,
there's like 3 flat spots on the whole course, so just FYI.
Just crazy.
I mean, I think the best course in Minnesota is the Wilderness, but I'm biased. I grew up right down the road.
Wilderness is great.
Yeah, I grew up right down the road from it, so I've driven by it a lot.
This is Dom Dom's favorite.
So you should incorporate this to like your last round of the year. So I think this would be just beautiful. Oh, I got distracted, but he's on his phone. What's your walk-up song?
Oh gosh. Gosh, that's I'm just gonna go with this because I've just really been into this 3-6 Mafia like playlist on Spotify, but like Turn My Swag On by Soulja Boy is on there, and I've probably listened to it like every day for the last like 45 days.
It's a classic.
I mean, I can't stop.
Yeah, that's a good choice.
I found a 2010s hip hop playlist, and it's from when I graduated high school. And like 2015 comes on, and I'm just like, there's no way a song came out in 2015, and then that's like what makes me feel old.
Wait, you said 2010 playlist, so
2010s.
Oh, okay.
So like 2010s.
That's not math.
Like the 90s, no. But the 2010s.
Yeah,
I hate that. That just sounds so wrong. I graduated in 2015.
So like certain songs come on, and I'm like, I was in high school, and I'm like, ugh.
When like that happens to me from like a song from 2008, I'm like, that reminds me of Myth Nightclub. But we don't need to talk about that.
It's like you like listen to the radio back in the day though, and it's like the 80s, 90s, and today's, and now it's like what the 90s.
Like we're missing like
2010s, 2020s, and today's.
So we got in an argument in our we have a group chat that has like a bunch of like other creators and like golf people, and we were talking about oldies, and I'm like, yeah, like sometimes I just put on some like old Neo and stuff like that. Everyone's like, Neo's not an oldie. I'm like, listen, when Miss Independent came out, I was in like elementary school. So yes, that's an oldie. And I love that song so much. And like 3-6 Mafia, oldies.
Do you remember that? Is that a TV show or episode or a commercial where they're like, play some old music and they're like,
50 Cent.
yeah.
It's that Abbott
That's
Elementary.
That's a great show. Actually.
Smack Shack in the North Loop has turned into a nightclub on the weekends now. I was there on Friday night after my master's party, and they were playing the throwback bangers.
Yep.
I felt very seen, even though I felt like the oldest person there. But
I've been there once too, and same thing. I'm like, wow, this is crazy.
What was that club we went to that I was very intoxicated and sang all the white girl bangers?
The North Loop.
I don't know. I sang every word.
Yeah, that's probably the North. Yeah,
every word.
The Cuzzies. What do you think? Have you been to Rabbit Hole yet?
Yeah, we so 2 weekends ago, we went to Rabbit Hole at like 4:30 to watch, it was the Final Four.
Yeah.
And I went the first weekend it opened, and I mean, it was like nuts in there. We actually we were trying to eat dinner, like, let's get a table at 4:30. We literally didn't get seated until 8:30 at a table, which, like, they were being fair, and like, you had to check in with the host to get a table, but we end up getting, it's like 10 of 12 of us. We end up getting the table that's like on the dance floor. We get seated at like 8:40. We order our food comes out at 9 as the DJ starts. So like now we are like, I'm eating my waffle fries in like the middle of the club. But then we went to Smack Shack after to finish watching the game. So like, okay, we've been at Rabbit Hole for like 5 hours. Let's go finish watching the game at Smack Shack. We're sitting in the bar area and it's kind of busy, but then again, now it's like 10:30 and I hear like a DJ and I start seeing lights like back from the dining area, and I'm like, what is happening here? Like, I didn't realize
it's a newer thing with Smack Shack. I think.
No, it is. And like the DJ said every 7.5 minutes, we're here until 2 a.m. tonight, guys. And it's just like, we know, you've already told us.
You've gotten that noted. Thank you.
I mean, it was insane in there. Like, it was nuts. Like a line around the corner when I left. Like, I mean, obviously I'm not above going because I just went on Friday night, but
all I remember is I sang every word to A Party in the USA and Umbrella. That's all I remember.
Yeah, I think it was the North Loop.
I think people kept just giving me drinks, and I'm not one to turn down a free drink, unfortunately.
Do you mean the Loop?
Or the Loop, not the North Loop.
Okay.
We're down on the North Loop. Yeah, the Loop. That's what it's called.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, the Loop seems kind of dead now that like Rabbit Hole and Smack Shack. I kind of walked by it and there was no line for the Loop, which was like one of the first places like 10 years ago that I remember going out in the North Loop.
I sang every word.
I'm so proud of you. Such a tangent.
5-Iron Golf, I've heard on Sundays they have all you can eat $5 wings.
Like $5 per wing,
something like that. $5.
It's not Sundays. I think it's Wednesday because the night I did a Clubhouse social there back in January, and I think that was the special that night.
Okay.
I mean, but yeah, they would continue to bring them out to you, so that's a pretty good deal in this economy, at least.
Let's see. You already answered them early morning. Do you prefer early morning tea time or a twilight round of golf?
Depends on the day. I mean, like, I love a sunset, but like, I do love like, let's go get 9 in quick or even 18, and then have like the rest of the day. So
I agree.
Really,
it's hard to choose just one or the other. Depends, like you said, it kind of depends.
So like we're playing Tierra Rajada in California,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I'm not scheduling it. Ralph is from Los Calaferos, and I'm scared that he's going to make this thing at like 8 a.m.
It's not that early.
It's early. Because then I got to wake up.
I did 8 a.m. at Breezy. We golfed Friday night, or we golfed at like 2 o'clock. I think we teed off, but then we golfed at 8 a.m. the next day because, we golfed from 8 to noon, had a little break, and then we rented a pontoon the rest of the day. Priorities.
That's the way to go. I mean, a long time ago, I used to always try to get either the first or second tee time in the summer, and play at 6:45, 7 o'clock.
I wouldn't go that far.
The full day.
I've done it with my dad.
Fresh cut grass, birds chirping. It's fantastic.
No.
Okay. Favorite club in your bag right now? If you have a favorite.
If you have a
Well,
bag.
I got really acquainted with my 5 hybrid because I broke my driver last summer at Breezy Point on the 8th hole at Deacons. My friend said I didn't hit the ground. I don't know if I believe them, but I snapped it about that much up the shaft. And
Hell
I actually
yeah.
didn't replace it until January of this year because I went down to Sea Pines at Hilton Head Island where the RBC Heritage was actually happening, I think this weekend there. But I was like, well, if I'm gonna like go on this bougie golf trip and play these like insane courses, I should probably have a driver. So I did get a new one, but I really like my 5 hybrid. She's a
Awesome.
cutie.
One last question. We always end in a food related question, so you can ask it however you like, my friend.
I don't know how to ask this because it's like
Well, that's why I put best.
she's like right down the road.
I put restaurant, but I mean, you could ask it.
What's your favorite restaurant in Minnesota? Like you're like, hey, you're dying tomorrow and you gotta go get dinner. Where are you going?
The Rustic Inn on the North Shore in Two Harbors.
Oh, you're not gonna make it up there in time.
Okay,
Yeah, that's
well,
morbid.
I live in Edina where there's like chain restaurants, so it's not really fair.
Yeah.
I mean, La Grolla in St. Paul.
What was it called?
La Grolla. It's a like La Grolla. It's an
Yeah, yeah.
Italian place in
Trying to think of I've
Cathedral
been
Hill
there.
on Selby.
Okay.
Been there a long time, but the champagne chicken, chef's kiss, 10
Nice.
out of
I
10.
treated my staff to Cecil's last week. They do Rubens in St.
Ooh,
Paul.
yeah.
I didn't realize how much money I spent until they brought me back the receipt, and I was like, "Holy shit!"
Yeah, Cecil's will
Worth it.
tax you. I grew up with a family that owns it.
Worth it. Favorite Reuben,
All good.
other than Kumarchek's.
Martrix is.
Kumarchek's.
You got to get that again. Abby, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast. We really appreciate
Thanks,
your time
guys.
and continue the great work.
All right, we'll see you out there soon.
Yeah, take care.
I don't
Thanks,
know.
guys.
Will we make it out there? I don't know.
I'm hoping so, hopefully.
It'll snow.